is an introduction to curriculum compacting. Now, curriculum compacting is a new goal that I have this year, and it's gonna really change how I do some of the testing for students. So, for example, I know that some students in my class already know the material very well and are going to sit there bored through the material because they already knew it. They're way ahead of all my other students. And I want to make sure they have learning opportunities as well. So I have added a new button to Canvas. It's called Curriculum Compacting. And if you go there, you're going to click it. Now, these pictures are all buttons. And so for the first button, for the first button that I want to go over, it says, how does the curriculum compacting work? Now, this is kind of information for you. So what students are going to do is they're going to take a pre-test. So my first curriculum compacting I'm going to do is for geometry. I know students know how to do some of the geometry, so they're going to basically try to test out of the geometry unit. So if they receive a mastery level of 90% above, they're eligible to compact out of the curriculum. That means that they don't have to do the homework for my class for 2 weeks. They don't have to take the quizzes for 2 weeks, and they don't even have to take the test at the end because they already took this pre-test and passed it with a 90% and above. So what does this mean? So students who get a 90% and above work on an enrichment project that will extend their knowledge of the topic. They will work on this project during class instead of doing what other students will be doing in class. So this enrichment project, for example, in geometry, we're going to be learning about how to find the area of triangles, trapezoids, squares, volume of rectangular prisms. And we're also going to be working on angles and trying to find triangles and inside of a triangle is 180 degrees. These types of geometry concepts, I know some students know. So they take the pre-test, and what's going to happen is if they get a 90% and above, they go work on an enrichment project. So let's say on that project, it's going to still be about area, but it's going to be a little bit more in depth about the content, and it will let them use their creative juices in order to come up with some awesome thing. So where this project comes in, students will be working on the project in class. So for 2 weeks, instead of listening to me teach them, they're going to go down to the library and work on this project for 2 weeks. And this project will take 2 weeks to do. So each student will need to fill out a log each day. So here is what the log sample looks like. So when they're in class, it will say, what did you do in class today? So they might say, in the library, I worked on researching the cost of carpet per square inch of my building that I'm creating. So then if they have questions for the teacher, do you have questions for the teacher that I can help answer? So if they ask a question, I will answer below. So they will have a binder that they work on every day, and it'll put the date at the top. They'll write down some stuff, and then they work on class on this. So it's not a project they do at home. They work on it in class. Their quote-unquote homework every night is if they want to continue working on the project, but the project is going to be due the day my other students are taking their test on geometry. So students will turn in the project in this first one. The geometry test is going to be later, like in 2 weeks. So they'll test out of it. And in 2 weeks, they're going to turn in their quote unquote project. So how do the grades work? So let's say if they receive a 104% or 94% on the pre-test, they will receive a 94% for all major, minor, and other grades. So basically what's going to happen is I give grades to the students for 2 weeks worth of time. And what happens is the students will get, let's say, a 94 on all the homeworks, and then they'll get a 94 on all the quizzes and the test all the way up to the point that they pre-tested for. Now, they're going to go and do a project for 2 weeks. After doing this project, they'll have the opportunity to earn back the points that they missed. So basically, they missed 6% on their test or on their pre-test. So by doing the project, they can end up earning 100% on all of the homeworks, 100% on the quiz, and 100% on the test. It's going to turn into hundreds all the way across the board. Now, the pre-test is very difficult, so the probability of a child getting 100% on the pre-test is probably pretty low. So if it happens, we'll get to that road when we get there, and we'll work out a thing of like what's going to happen. But usually there's really one hard question on the pre-test that a lot of students are going to get. So, but if for some reason a student does get it, we will get to that road and we'll discuss our options from there. So now what's kind of how this works. So that's how curriculum compacting works. Now there are rules. So during the time that they go to the library and work, they have rules, and this is a contract that the students will be signing with me, and if they break these rules, then they will have to come back and actually sit in the class and listen to me teach so that I can monitor their behavior. So if they're not able to work independently in the hallway, this special privilege will go away. So the rule number 1, I will work diligently in the library or in class. It just depends on what it is. And when they're working in class, they have to be quiet in the back working on, let's say, a laptop or an iPad. I will fill out a log every day describing what I did with my time during math class. Therefore, I know that they're not fooling around in the library. I will not participate in unruly behavior and will model how students should act in the library or in class. If I'm working in the classroom, I will not talk or interact with students around me that will be distracting to their learning. I will write down questions that arise on the log and not interrupt Miss Prine in class while she is teaching. I will use Canvas to also ask questions to Miss Prine and get information that I need, and I will complete the project on time. If they follow all these rules, then they do not have to take the test at the end. Now, if they don't follow the rules, there are going to be consequences. They have to come back in the classroom, they have to do the homeworks every single day, and their privilege of doing this awesome project is done. So then, I am going to compact 3 units this year. Geometry, data analysis, and finance. This is something I've been working really hard on. And so if you click geometry, that's the first one. There are 2 parts to geometry. I'm only compacting out the first one. If you're wondering what's going to be on the pre-test, you could click this pre-test link here, and it will tell you all the TEKS that are going to be on there. I am not going to give you a pre-test to try to pass the test and study for. This is for students that already know it. So before they even come into a classroom, that they're like, I'm bored, I know how to do this already. This is not something to study for. You can look at this and be like, oh, I already know how to do all of them except for this one, and kind of look up on how to do it. But this is not something I'm going to give you stuff to study for ahead of time. These are the things that are going to be on the test, and that's it. So the project can be found here. Now, I'm not going to give you access to the project yet, not until I know who has the project and who doesn't. So if you click the project button, it will be here eventually. I do have it made. I just have not uploaded it to Canvas on purpose so that students can't like say, oh, I don't want to do the project, therefore I'm not going to compact out. It's actually a really fun project. I will give you a little hint. You are going to be designing your own house with this and figuring out square footage for carpet and tile and finding square footage for like wood in the room and how much it costs and stuff like that. So they're going to be an architect to a house for this project, which is going to be a lot of fun. So in the project, they have a choice whether they want to make a poster or do a Prezi, or they have options of for their creativity on how they want to present this to me as a teacher. So I know there's going to be lots of questions about this. I will be answering them in class, so you're gonna give me an opportunity about this first. So this video is just to help you understand like what a curriculum compacting is, all that kind of stuff. So you can actually see like ahead of time data analysis unit when we do that, like anything, all these things, all these TEKS are gonna be on that pre-test so that you all know what's kind of coming ahead. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. But I hope some of you will try it because this is the first year that I'm doing it. It's going to be a lot of fun because I want to make sure all of my students are being enriched and engaged in my classroom. So I hope you have a wonderful day.